Heyo, my Sharkies. Marvel Rivals is a very interesting game. One of the most in-depth systems being their team-ups. And Jeff is a very friendly guy. So I'm going to theorycraft some ideas for a Jeff team-up with every character in the game who doesn't have one already directly with him. First up is Adam Warlock, as usual. For Adam, I'm going to make Jeff the anchor. My idea is to make Adam's healing catch onto Jeff's bubbles and bounce off of them. This one could also add to the total bounces or the total healing, increasing them or making them better, or making them travel further even. This one would be quite niche, but it would make it so that Adam could heal consistently while behind cover. So it would help sometimes. I like this one. I think it would be really cute for Jeff's Angela team up to be him pulling out an axe and swinging it around like a psychopathic puppy with murderous intent. Give it like 90 damage and knockback. I wouldn't know the practical applications of this other than in dive scenarios, try and get like a panther or a daredevil off of you, but also it's funny, so I win. For Panther, I'm going to bring back some form of DPS for Jeff, thank God. His bubbles, when he pops them, now deal a bit of damage and give any hit enemy a mark. A good Panther with this could go mental in the backline and it would give another reason to ban him. Widow's going to get a one-shot. I'm going to make a single charge mid-cooldown move swap for her team up with Jeff, where her next shot becomes a supercharged piercing water bullet that can one-shot headshot and goes through terrain and enemies. This might finally take her out of F tier if this was real. Probably not though, because Jeff also sucks. Maybe for Blade, there could be one of the team-ups where both parties need to confirm, where Jeff shoots an aqua burst at Blade and he splits into pellets with his sword. The pellets of the burst could have knockback and a headshot multiplier. For Hulk, I think it'd be great to mix their bubbles. So whenever Hulk bubbles someone, it gives them the Jeff bubble healing boost, and the speed boost, but slightly weaker. And whenever Jeff bubbles someone, it gives them a shield. But this one would have to be a bit weaker to be fair in any way, because giving someone a Hulk bubble whenever you bubble them seems pretty overpowered, to be honest. For Mr. America himself, I'd make a new move for Jeff where he does a bit of a flip and reflects any incoming projectiles while becoming entirely invincible and healing enemies around him. Maybe do a bit of damage, maybe have a bit of knockback. Put on a bit of a cooldown though. Hello, Belle. For Cloak and Dagger, I think it'd be cool to give Jeff a move that either swaps his bubbles, or a new move that functions similarly to his bubbles, but they do some damage, no healing, and to give the enemy vulnerability and blindness when they pop. I make it so that these shadow bubbles can be popped by enemies as well. That would be cool. I think the duo move for Daredevil would be really cool, where Jeff shoots his joyful splash at Daredevil, and whenever Daredevil uses his right click, it spreads the beam all around him, damaging enemies and healing allies, including Daredevil. I think this one would genuinely fit into the game and be quite cool to see. Not cool to play against, but if he's on your team, it's quite fun to see. For Strange, I'm gonna give Jeff the Time Stone. Didn't he canonically eat the Time Stone? Yeah, probably. I'd make it a targeted move, sort of like Mantis's utility moves, but it only functions on enemies. It would stun for maybe a second and knock the soul out, basically functioning like a mini Strange ult. But it would be on a ridiculous cooldown, because it's basically a free kill. For Jeff's favourite, I reckon that Jeffrey could get a swap move for his secondary. It gives it 3 charges maximum, gives it more damage, really heavy knockback, and maybe a bit of stun on top of it. Make it pierce too. I mean, diamonds are quite dense and sharp, I think. Jeff already has a team up with Groot. In my personal opinion, most Hawkeye team ups should be with his arrows. So give him a splash arrow that bounces on hit maybe up to 3 times. I'd give it similar to Daredevil's E into right click, and then I'd give it some knockback to get enemies off of him, because Hawkeye definitely deserves more anti dive. With Hela, I think that Jeff could have a 70 damage hit scan with a headshot forever. I'm joking. Jeff doesn't deserve that. But I digress. What he does deserve is for Hela's Kill Crow to heal allies as well as damaging enemies. It's quite simple, but it certainly works. Rivals would never give 70 damage hit scan to anyone like Jeff, no way. For my guy Johnny, I'm going to give my other guy, Jeffrey, a DPS Trail of Fire that works the same as Johnny's single line connection whenever Jeff swims. So Jeff could go underwater and block someone off to help your team kill them. For Invis, just make his bubbles turn you invisible for the time that they're in effect. OP? Yeah. Fun? You know what? Probably not. But it works. Lin Lee is gonna get another healing move. Because we all love Iron Fist's current team up, don't we? I'm I'm joking. In reality, Iron Fist is gonna channel the power of Shurlau into Jeffrey, which gives the shark himself a giant targeted insta-heal for one ally on a mid-low cooldown to entirely change Jeff's healing game and gameplay loop. I play Jeff and Iron Fist, and if this was real, this would be peak. Iron Man can power Jeff up to give him the ability to shoot out a rocket with an explosive hitbox that heals, damages, and knocks back. But it can be knocked back by Jeff's enemies as well. When it's knocked back, it increases in speed and damage, so it'd real quickly turn into a tennis match where the loser instantly gets vaporized. Fun. For Jeff, no one has a team up with themselves. With Loki, make Jeffrey the Shark of Mischief when paired with Loki, by giving him a move that spawns a clone of himself that functions exactly the same as Loki's E, except that Jeff only gets one and can't teleport to it. So he just gets a water sprinkler down in short. Jeff's also already had a team up with Luna Snow. With Magic, I think it'd be cool to give Jeff a warp portal that Magic can place down wherever she wants, and Jeff can then teleport to it from wherever he wants. We're bringing DPS Jeff back with this one. With the mutant King Magneto, I'm going to give Jeff a double interaction where Magneto uses his power to yank Jeff over to him at Mach 10 with a giant hitbox that does a ridiculous amount of damage across the trail and pulls Jeff to safety. What don't you need with this one? I'm going to make Mantis's team up another dual interaction, so that Jeff uses a burst of water to grow Mantis a vine cocoon that can knock enemies back, deal a bit of damage, and give her invincibility. This one's a bit weird, but I was struggling with it, so deal with it. For Mr. Freaktastic, I'll give Jeffrey an invention from Mr. Richards that summons a field effect around him that can have some different effects. Either it heals allies, damages enemies, speeds allies up, slows enemies down, increases allies' damage, or decreases enemies' damage. This would be entirely random and not that useful, but also fun as hell. Moonlight's is going to be similar to the one I gave Adam, if you still remember that from the start. Jeff's bubbles can act as onks for Moon Knight, but they pop immediately upon being used or after 3 hits if it's with his main attack. Helpful, but not broken in my opinion, since you need to balance the usage of the bubbles for healing and the usage of the bubbles for DPS. Every Namor team up has been a squid so far, and I see no reason to end that pattern. Namor can have some squids that function exactly the same as normal, but they target allies and heal them instead. They'd be on the same squid counter as the other ones, so it makes it a bit of a trade-off. Healing or damage? Knowing Namor players, it would probably be the latter, but it's an option now. My favourite types of moves to think up are technology moves, so I had fun with Penny's team up. Jeff gets his own nest adjacent thing to put on the floor that sprays the joyful splash all around it. However, it can run out of ammo, and when it does, either Jeff or Penny have to recharge it. Penny can press her team up button when next to it, but Jeff has to shoot it with his joyful splash for long enough to recharge it. It adds an entirely new dimension to Jeff and Penny's gameplay, while also being good but not too good. Rocket. With Phoenix, I make it so that Jeff's secondary attack gives enemies a spark. However, Jeff can't pop the sparks, Phoenix has to. Neat. Psylocke gets the first ult team up in this video with Jeffrey, where whenever Psylocke stabs someone with her ult, when Jeff is teamed up with her, they go into Jeff's stomach. At the end of that, Jeff can swim away like normal with his belly full of Psylocke's victims. Rocket the Rat can get a team up with Jeff, where Jeff can throw an explosive that leaves a healing and damage field on the floor where it lands. Give it a big cooldown, and this would make Jeff at least a tier better. It's basically a mini ult. Spider-Man can benefit from Jeff, give him a water-soaked bicycle kick that sends enemies upwards when he uses it, doing high damage and functioning as a combo ender for Spidey. When paired with Squirrel, I think it'd be sweet to give Jeff a little squirrel friend on his head who can constantly do a little small amount of damage to enemies within a certain distance. Like a little turret on his head. Cute and annoying. What more do you want? Star-Lord can charge up his element guns to shoot out water blasts that lower the healing that the enemy receives. He only gets 40 shots, and the healing reduction won't last that long. Be helpful for diving. Maybe Jeff could dive with him. Yeah, I don't know. Storm and Jeff already have a team up. Frank and Jeff can have a team up where Jeff can use a smoke grenade that turns him invisible for about 3 seconds and does a bit of damage when he disappears. With the Thing, Jeff can summon a rock zone, the same one that the Thing's left shift does, that disables movement abilities. I'd make it so that Jeff's hide and seek, which is left shift, whenever he comes out of his left shift, he summons like the rocky zone on the floor. It would have to be on a cooldown of a few seconds, maybe about 7. Should make Jeff the real counter for dive. Fourth, I'd make another dual interaction where but when both of them confirm, Force strikes Jeff with thunder to deal huge damage in an area, and it also charges Jeff up with lightning to make him do a bit of damage to enemies within a small area around him for about 3 seconds. The Clanker and the Shark. Ultron can get another much needed healing move. He can send out a small missile that heals allies in a middling radius. He needs it. Maybe make it seek onto them. I mean, Ultron really needs everything he can get. Venom and Jeff already have a team up. For Bucky, this one might be a bit more technical, but whenever Bucky hits a Jeff bubble with his Tainted Voltage, which is his E, it has the pop effect but leaves it there. It also makes the rest of the Tainted Voltage lower healing output for the enemy hit. It's not great, but I'm near the end of scripting and I'm fucking tired. Finally, we make it to Wolverine. I think it'd be funny to give him the ability to give Jeff all of his rage when he interacts with him, that heals Wolverine up for each point of rage that he lost. And we're done. Thanks for listening to me yap for 12 minutes. Make sure to upvote your Jeffs and to solo out your squirrels. Love you, bye.